Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids and Monsters news video. Well, before I go off to Texas Frightmare this weekend and give it just a little brief pause to my videos, I thought I would do another one here as a special treat. This one involving something that absolutely fascinates me, and I hope it absolutely fascinates you too. It has to do with all these mysterious sounds that seem to be captured throughout various parts of the US and in some cases other parts of the world. A couple of years back, I kind of touched upon that whenever the first Pacific Rim movie was coming out. There was some speculation that these strange, mysterious sounds across the world were just suddenly popping up, and the idea was, could they have been tied to the movie as a hoax, or was it something else altogether? Who knows? There's no answer to them yet. They seem to have just come and gone. But in this case, it has to do with sounds related to one of those beloved cryptids of all. In this case, Bigfoot. So I found the video through our website, cryptozoologynews.com. I'll include the link for it below, and then also I'll include the link for the video directly. There's a gentleman, a guy by the name of Randy Savig, who a few years back, it looks like in 2015, he set up what's called a double parabolic microphone, which you're looking at a picture of here as an example, somewhere there in Missouri. I don't know exactly where this was, but at the end of the video he kind of highlights the location. It seems like it was at a camp with a well-known area that people go out there to camp, but then just a little bit further he set this up and then just set it to record. And so the reason I'm posting this is because this video is 12 minutes long, but you do get to hear some pretty eerie stuff that's recorded throughout those minutes. Now, up front, a lot of that stuff is absolutely just wolves or coyotes, the usual howlings that they do at night, either for territorial purposes, mating purposes, hunting purposes, whatever is the case. Like, so much of the sounds in the video are those. However, there's a few spots within the video where something else makes its presence known. It's a very high-pitched, almost like a woman's scream. It's the closest comparison. It's not obviously like a woman's scream, but it's the closest comparison I can think of, and it's somewhere far off in the distance. It freaked me out when I was hearing it. In fact, it comes up several times. If you wanted to, I'll highlight the spots there on the comments. It's at about 53 seconds when it first makes its appearance, then at about 6 minutes 3 seconds, and then at about 7 minutes 3 seconds. I listened to the whole thing to make certain. Those are the bright spots that I was able to pick up these sounds. You'll have to have your headphones on when you click on the link that brings up the video. Turn them up, because then you'll be able to hear exactly what I hear. But after that finishes, after you've listened to it, doesn't it, if you have, doesn't it freak you out like it did me? Just the image alone, like you see here, that showcases, in this case, like the campsite and where the stuff was being recorded, it automatically just sets a very eerie tone. This is almost the evening, almost the dead of night, and here you have these sounds happening somewhere in the far off distance. Coyotes and wolf sounds already freak me out, but in this case, something else having a long, high-pitched scream out there in the distance, so much so that it actually sets off even more screams from the coyotes and the wolves. Like, they know that something is out there in Missouri, but they don't know what it is. They're just simply making their presence known to try to make sure that this thing exactly knows what's happening, like what they're dealing with. But yes, indeed, when you have a chance, check out the video. I highly recommend it. That's why I wanted to post it here, because it's a great video. Just 12 minutes of wood sounds, like forest sounds, and then you hear this stuff happening in the far background. It reminds me of a video I saw. I'll see if I can still try to find it, that I heard years back. It was played on the radio. When it first came out, it was almost viral, and it was the same thing. Like, there was this weird, very high-pitched whoop or a howl that was happening somewhere in the distance in a forest, and it freaked me out. My own example is this. About 2 years back, I was there in Good Springs, Nevada, for a ghost tour, and when we were out there, Good Springs is a very remote town, and when you get out to the point where you're in the villages or the housing complexes, whatever you call them there, if you could call them there, like, it's a tiny town. It's like less than 100 people. But when you're out there, then there's very dark parts of the area, because at night very little light is out there. So you have this tiny pocket, very tiny pocket of civilization surrounded by darkness, because the rest of the desert is just pure pitch black. I hope that I found the photo, if you can see it here, that showcases what I'm talking about. But yes, out there in the area at night, I started hearing the coyotes or the wolves or whatever was out there, and I could just totally imagine how freaky it is, because in the pitch black darkness you cannot see anything in terms of these animals, but they definitely see you, and they're making their presence known. They saw us, and as soon as we got out of the van, the tour van, they were making their sounds to make sure that they were aware of what was happening, of what was going on. So that freaked me out. So imagine something like this being out there in the middle of the forest. In this case, what's supposedly there, I think it's part of the Missouri Ozarks, that you have something like this happening. And there's actually plans, myself and the group that I'm in, Spectra, we may, it's still in the works, but it'll probably be later on this year, we may actually do either a Bigfoot hunt or a UFO hunt overnight, in this case in a forest. There's an area somewhere in Texas, I can't remember the name that they were mentioning, but there's an area there that has the presence of a Bigfoot or the presence of a UFO, or both. So in some cases they seem to be tied together, and we may plan on doing an overnight stay out there in the middle of the forest to try to see if we could capture anything. That is already making me nervous, because the idea that these sounds would be happening in the far distance and then something else comes into play, whatever this is, whatever this weird sound is, this howling, I'm probably going to skedaddle out of there as soon as I start hearing that stuff, because that stuff starts playing in my mind. I start imagining what else is out there, and then that's it. So who knows, but I'll definitely let everybody know what happens afterward. But yes, check out the video if you have a chance. This was recorded apparently on October 29th, 2015. I'll include the link again below. Well worth the 12 minutes. Put on some headphones, turn up the noise, and then you'll probably start seeing links from YouTube from other suggested videos involving this stuff too. But I love this stuff. I may spend the rest of the night listening to some of these strange sounds that people have captured throughout other parts of the US, and then what they have to hear and see. So if anybody has anything like that, any experience that's similar to this, any vocalizations you might have recorded out there in the forest, feel free to post the links below. YouTube will sometimes allow a lot of those links to be posted on my comments. Sometimes it's going to be where it's like a protected link and I have to approve it, and if that happens I'll take a look. But otherwise, yeah, if you have your own personal experiences, post them in the comments too. It'd be great to share it with everyone. I'm sure everyone else would love to hear it as well. So alright everybody, hope you enjoyed this video. Check out the channel again when you have a moment, and then later on I'll try to make more videos as soon as I come back from my weekend trip, including a surprise live stream that I'll probably do tomorrow. Fingers crossed. It all depends on the weather, and a very good location here in Texas that I've done a video in the past before. I'm leaving it as a surprise, so be on the lookout for that tomorrow too. So alright everyone, thanks again as always. Take care.